welcome along to another interview from the Honest Football Podcast. Each week we catch up with a former or current professional in the game or a footballing personality, and we talk to them about their experiences, why they love the game, how they got into the game and their career in football. This week we talked to Rhys Bennett, who's currently a Peterborough United defender. He started his career as a professional at Bolton before a strange loan move north of the border to Falkirk. He's also played for the likes of Rochdale, Mansfield and his current club Peterborough in the EFL, and has a number of brilliant experiences to share, including some of the great players he's played against, with, and the managers he's worked under, as well as, of course, his favourite games. So I really hope you enjoy this one. We can't thank Rhys enough for joining us. And of course, for me at the moment, we've got a shared hobby. He's live streaming Football Manager most days during the lockdown. And you can find his channel over on Twitch, Rhys Bennett TV. And you can also find him on Twitter for links to the live streams. If you do enjoy this interview, please put a thumbs up on the video. It really does make a difference and we greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel for regular content from the podcast, including weekly interviews with footballing personalities. But I really hope you enjoy this one. Thanks again to Rhys for joining us. Okay, I'm delighted to be joined by Rhys now, and I'll start as I do with every guest by asking for your first footballing memory, be it as a player, a fan, whatever it is. What's the first thing you remember about football?
So my first footballing memory would probably be the Champions League final in 1999, 2000 season where Solskjaer scored that goal and he did a knee slide for Man United. Incredible comeback. I remember opening the door and just running out onto my street, screaming, yes, 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 things like that. But that was probably my earliest memory in football. And that's like 20 years ago now. So I was probably like 7, 8 years old.
And then what about as going to the actual stadium? What's the first game you ever went to see live?
Probably went to see, I can't remember the game specifically, but I remember going to Man United with my dad. And I just remember just how high I was up in the stand. I remember thinking, like, the whole game, like, the football's incredible, but if I fall, like, I'm going to be in trouble here.
I don't have that problem at Luton. Never did growing up. And then what about playing for the first time? Doesn't have to be competitive, even just on the street. What's the first time you remember playing football?
Yeah, my first memory in football was, like, I literally had, like, so as a kid, I remember just like trying out different sports and things like that. You know, as normal kids do, like we'll take him to play tennis and we'll do this and do that. And then it was like, all right, we'll take him to play football for the local team. Let's see if he likes it and that. And then I ended up getting to like the match, and I had no boots. And I remember my dad like quickly rushing to the shop 10 minutes to get away and coming back with these like yellow Mizuno boots. And I was like, all right, I'll wear them. But I ended up scoring 10 goals in them. So, like, I remember my first memory, like, me literally waiting on the sideline, like, I've got no boots. And I put them on, and it was like I had, like, magic powers. It was like Space Jam, you know, when they put on, like, the magic Michael Jordan shoes. And it suddenly become incredible. I felt like that for a little bit.
And then talk to me a bit about going from there and getting through to becoming a youth player. Obviously, you played for a couple of teams growing up, culminating in Bolton, which is where you signed your first professional deal. But talk to me about those teenage years in football.
Actually really enjoyable, to be honest. I remember I was pretty much in the academy system for like the whole time. I joined Bolton at 11 years old.
Yeah.
But sort of around 13 and 14, started getting a little bit more serious. Started like taking days off school to go and train like with the youth teams and stuff like that. But I just remember like me just being really close to like the training ground. So like the driver would come and pick up the lads from digs to go to the training ground.
Yeah.
And because I lived in that vicinity, the driver would come and pick me up. And I just remember thinking, oh, this is so cool. And I used to go to like first team games, and like Bolton are in the Prem then, so like you'd play like Chelsea's and Arsenal's and things like that. And then I ended up getting a lot of football shirts because where we used to sit was like level to the pitch.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game, like, I'm thinking back on this now, I wondered how on earth I was able to do it. But like, you used to just wander on the pitch and ask like the players for their shirts. You'd never be able to do that now.
No.
But I've got Peter Cech's shirt. I've got Emmanuel Adebayor's shirt from when he was at Arsenal. Like, I've got so many shirts from doing that, but I'd just never be able to do it now. But I remember thinking back now, why was I so cheeky to like do that? Because if someone did it to me now, I'd be like, I can't give it you, mate.
Obviously worked though, didn't it?
Oh, it worked, yeah, because I framed on my bed.
And because you're a bit younger than the last few guests we had on, I want to ask you about being an academy player. How many of the dirty jobs did you have to do? Did you still have to do the cleaning the boots and all that, or were you just beyond that stage?
No, I did that. I remember there was at one point where we was at a different training ground to the first team. And we used to have to like travel 15 minutes just to go to the ground just to clean the boots and to collect the stuff in from training. So no, but I actually really enjoyed that bit. That bit was like cool because one you were scared.
Yeah.
So like if Kevin Nolan, for example, he was the captain at the time, while Kevin Davis came in and started like shouting like, "My boots are wet. I'm not training or anything like that." Everyone would be like, "Well, who cleaned his boots?" And people would be like hiding in the corner and stuff like that. But I remember taking great pride in it. I cleaned Kevin Davis's and just like a couple of the first team pros. But the lads used to really look forward to like the money at Christmas. Because there'd been like a few rumours that people would be giving out like £500 for people to cut their boots. And when you're on like £100 a week,
Yeah.
£500 a lot of money. So I remember like making the boots sparkling all season, looking forward to what I'd get. And to be fair, I had Mustafa Riga, who was like a Spanish player, and he was friends with Deco. So I ended up getting a Deco shirt for cleaning boots from him. So that was incredible.
It's not bad. That's not bad. Then talk to me about your first professional appearances, because obviously you went on loan, and probably quite rare for a youngster in England. You went technically abroad to Scotland, but you went to Falkirk to play for the first time. So tell me about that experience, how it came about, and how you found it.
Yeah, so I'd started playing in the reserves from sort of like my first year as like a YT. So from maybe like 16, 17 to sort of 18, 19. And then it's not that I'd had enough of it, because like at the start it's like incredible. You're playing against like real life first team players.
Yeah.
So like I remember my first game playing against like Joe and Felipe Casido at Man City, who were like worth £50 million. And then like at the end, it's like I've seen like a lot of players like going out on loan, and I was like, I really want to go out on loan. I've played like reserves from the last 2 or 3 years now. Like I don't feel like I'm sort of progressing. I want to get out on loan and try first team football. And then at the end of my sort of third year, because we had third year scholars at that time. At the end of my third year scholar, I was like, look, I've asked to go out on loan all season. You're not letting me. I don't want to sign. Like they offered me a new deal, but I was like, I don't want to sign it. Which I don't. I think it was like obviously out of frustration. I don't know if it was the wisest thing to do looking back now, but I just really wanted to play first team football. But yeah, so I ended up signing my pro like a week before we came back to pre-season, because I finally decided to sign it, because you're not even allowed to go anywhere without compensation. And I didn't understand where I thought I'd be going without compensation. And then it was literally like, right, you signed it. Right, we found a club for you to go on loan. I was like, okay, cool, I'm going. Where is it? And it was like, right, we're going to Scotland. I was like, oh, okay, I'm still going, but it's a bit far, isn't it? Like I've had a conversation with my agent, and through the whole year I had like Crewe and like Oldham and Bury, like all places which were kind of near. And it's like, well, no, we want you to go to Scotland. Like the manager at the time, Owen Coyle, one of his friends, Stephen Presley, was a centre back, and he's like, I want you to go to Scotland. I want you to go and learn the kind of Scottish way of playing, which is a lot more physical. Yeah. Because like at the time, I was sort of a decent technical player, like maybe a bit soft for a centre back. So it was like, right, I understand it now, but at the time, when I went there and like my first 2 games, I ended up with like bloody noses coming off the pitch, thinking, why am I playing against like a 6'4" striker? This isn't academy football. But yeah, it was definitely good for me. But that's how it came about. It was like, no, you're not going Crewe, you're not going this place, you're not going that place. You're going to go to Scottish like League One and learn from this centre back.
And after that, I guess you did go to one of the more local clubs in England. So you moved on to Rochdale, where you spent probably the largest chunk of your career. So how did the move come about, and how did you find it at Rochdale? Because you became a bit of a cult hero there.
So basically, John Coleman wanted to sign me at Accrington on loan. So when he got the Rochdale job, it was basically like, I've watched you for quite a long time anyway, so I'll give you that. I think I had maybe Rochdale and Crewe that are in for Crewe League One, but I was like, look, I want to go back to the bottom and sort of start and work my way up.
Yeah.
And like John Coleman was very, very, very good for my career. He eventually, well, he didn't eventually, but he got sacked in sort of like December, January time. And like, I kind of, not partly responsible, but like to play like sort of me at like 19, 20 and another centre half at 20, it's just unheard of in like League Two nowadays. You don't do that.
Yeah.
But like to have faith in me, like I'll always be like thankful for him to do that. And obviously, I don't know if it was me that cost him his job, but like you're kind of a little bit inconsistent, especially as a centre defender at that time. But yeah, like I can't thank him enough for signing me for Bolton. And then obviously Keith Hill came in, and he was kind of like a mentor to me, to be fair.
Yeah.
We had some great times, and yeah, it was a very successful time in my career, to be fair.
And the only other thing I want to ask you about Rochdale is where you scored your first professional goal. Do you remember it? Because for defenders, it's not always as important, but how much do you remember of it?
Oh, of course, yeah. I won goal of the season for that goal, so it sticks in my memory a little bit more. But I just remember, like, I think we were like 2 or 3-0 down at the time.
Yeah.
And I played really bad in the first half, and I got like a rollicking from the gaffer. And then I was just so angry. And it was like one of them where it's like, I'm taking the ball and I'm not passing to anyone. I'm scoring on my own. And luckily I managed to do it. But I can, like, sometimes I watch the goal back and like, people are like trying to like slap hands with me and stuff like that. And I'm like telling everyone, no, just to go away, just because of like the bad mood I was in at the time. I remember thinking, oh, I'll be sure an idiot, mate.
You didn't enjoy it as much as you should have.
Yeah, I should have enjoyed it. But yeah, that was just my mood at the time. But yeah, it was a good goal, to be fair.
And then after Rochdale came Mansfield. So I guess the first time you ended up linking up with Steve Evans, who seemed to be quite key in your next few years as well. But talk to me about Mansfield generally, joining the club and then that sort of weird ending in the second year.
Yeah, very. So basically, I had a very freak season in Rochdale my last season. I broke my arm in pre-season, and then
I remember seeing that.
like I came back and I did my hamstring. I just literally couldn't get fit. Just loads of little niggly injuries took me to sort of like February, and then I was like in my last year of my deal, not played all season. But I also wasn't happy with like I literally played every position under Keith, which was good. But then it gets to a stage where it's like I want to actually be a centre half or a right back.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, right, let me just take a decision to sort of drop down again, and I can work my way back up. So I made that decision, and yeah, I signed for Mansfield. I really like the young manager there, Adam Murray.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I did that pretty much at the start of the summer. And but yeah, it was a very, very weird year, my first year at Mansfield.
Talk to me about Steve Evans coming in, and because obviously you then followed him to Peterborough, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what was he like to be managed under? Because there's sort of a bit of a misconception about him and the type of person he is.
So obviously when Adam Murray left, the chairman came and spoke to us and said like, yeah, I've got a new manager in, like it's who you think it is. And at the time, like Steve Evans was like heavily favourite.
Yeah. And
then I remember getting loads of texts on my phone, like, oh, you've got Steve Evans, like that's it, you're done, like pretty much. And then so like I think me and like the rest of the lads were really nervous coming his first day. I remember training at like St. George's Park, and just coming into the changing rooms, and he like him and his assistant would just be like, hi, nice to meet you, going around the changing room. And his assistant was like, oh, Benno, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. How are you doing, mate? And I remember thinking, I've never met you before. Like, like I don't know you. Like, but yeah, like if I did like a good pass in training, the assistant would be like, oh, great pass, Benno, blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking, he likes me. But yeah, to be honest, like Steve is kind of like, he's a very like tough disciplinarian figure. But the assistant I got on really well with. Like I think he really likes me as a person and as a player. So the Steve Evans regime, as in like the coach and like the assistant coach, like it works for me because I have someone that's like very strict on me, and then I kind of have like it's kind of like a mother and a father, isn't it? Really, like,
perfect balance.
Yeah.
Then talk to me about following him to Peterborough. And I guess the thing that strikes me is from Steve Evans leaving Peterborough to Darren Ferguson joining again, on the outside, that looks like the two most contrasting managers you could ever play under. Is it that way behind the scenes?
Yeah. So like after the Mansfield thing, like obviously you're thinking like looking back on it, because obviously with Steve, he wouldn't be shy and sort of criticizing you, yeah, to say the least. And then you think, all right, well, why would you want to sort of work with a manager like that? But then when you think about things like he's played you every game,
Yeah.
you're doing well as a player. Like I won pretty much every single individual award in my first season at Mansfield. Like you're doing well as a team, and if he rings your phone for a move in the league above, which is where you want to be, with the manager that you know likes you, he might shout at you, but he likes you. Then it's like, well, I know exactly what I need to do to play. So I know that he likes me. I know that he'll play me if I do what I need to do. So why wouldn't I know the relationship isn't like incredible, but at the end of the day, like you've got to do what's best for your career in terms of you might not agree with or get on with your boss. I'm sure it relates to real life. But at the end of the day, he likes you and you're going to play. So that's why I decided to take the decision to go to Peterborough, because like, I have a manager that has faith in me. You might fall out with him at times, but he's got faith in you. But yeah, it is really different. Him to sort of Darren Ferguson in terms of like managerial styles, but at the same time there are some similarities.
I find that quite unique, because from the media perspective that the fans get to see in the mainstream media is that Darren Ferguson's this wonderful soft type of manager and Steve Evans is just brutal, but it can't be that
no
contrasting in the dressing room. They've got to have something between them.
There are some similarities which are not in the public eye.
I guess before we move on to some of the quickfire questions at the end and the big one, I want to ask you about what you've been doing this morning and since the lockdown, because you've started quite regularly streaming Football Manager and other video games, but Football Manager I want to focus on because it's my favourite as well. And it's good to see that even a pro footballer has the same problems when they're playing the game as everyone else. That's the first thing I'd say on that. What got you into that? What made you decide to do it? Was it just something to do in the lockdown, or was it something you wanted to do anyway?
So normally I am a gaming addict anyway, so to speak. So like I play a lot of FIFA and I play a lot of Football Managers.
Yeah.
I normally do like a road to glory of Football Manager. But I've been streaming FIFA and there's not really a lot to do during the week on FIFA.
Yeah.
So then I'm thinking, I had a conversation with a few of my friends and I'm like, okay, do you guys want to do like a road to glory? Because I always invite my friends in. We'll start with the same team and we'll see who can get to like the Champions League final, win the Premier League first. As like a long-term project. I was like, do you guys want to do it? And they were like, yeah. And then some of them said like, why don't you do it on stream? And I was like, well, Football Manager can't be like good on stream, no? Like, I'm sure like people sat there watching me play a video game can't be that entertaining in terms of like, I'm not actually playing, I'm just sort of managing the team. Yeah. And they were like, no, you should like look at Lollujo. Like there are people making like big money from like, not money, but like getting big views in terms of like Football Manager. I was thinking, no way. So like I had a little look at Lollujo and people like that and other Football Manager streamers. And then I saw a tweet that he was like representing Peterborough in like a Football Manager thing. And I was thinking, wait, let me look at him again. And it's like, wait, he's a Peterborough fan.
Yeah.
But like, I only really like, someone told me to look at Lollujo. And then a week later, I was like, mate, did you not think to tell me that Lollujo's a Peterborough fan? But yeah, so I've been starting to stream like Football Manager during the week and like, or during the day really, because like my girlfriend's working 9 to 5. So I think like, while she's working, if I just sit on the computer quietly streaming, like it'd be great for both of us.
Stay out of trouble.
It's been really good, and like Lollujo's been absolutely key for me. Like he's raided me, he shouted me out. Like I'm gonna be assistant manager on his stream on Thursday. Like, but he has actually been incredible for me. But I'm actually really enjoying the Football Manager at the moment. Like, if you would have asked me like 4 days ago, where I lost in like the playoff semi-final where I deserved to walk the league. And I lost on the playoff semi-final on stream, and I wanted to like lose my head, but I couldn't because I was on stream. Then I would have said like I don't enjoy it, but yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster, and I definitely am enjoying like showing the sort of the contrasting emotions that this game puts you through. But it's definitely fun, and I am enjoying it. Yeah.
It's good to see as well that you've been able to like chat with lots of Peterborough fans and things like that who are able to just pop in and say hello to people that they'd never normally have access to as well.
Yeah, that's the thing I thought about streaming, like just interacting with people, because one, it fills your day, and two, it might fill somebody else's day, so they can like speak to someone that they wouldn't normally speak to. And I think the thing that differs from Football Manager to FIFA, whereas like the FIFA at the moment, like you have to concentrate so hard in game, so you're not really looking at the chat. Whereas on FM, you can constantly read the chat. Really, you can like pause the game if you want to, just to like reply to people's messages. So I think it's a lot better for interaction with people.
And I'll thank Lollujo quickly as well, because that's the first time I became aware of you again in a lockdown, is because you were in one of his streams, and then I went and found yours afterwards. So
yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah, but he's actually been incredible for me.
But again, as a Peterborough fan, to suddenly have a player in his stream is something you probably thought would never happen, and then suddenly you're there just because the lockdown.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm probably like an FM addict, like myself. So like, I'm a fan of his because he's an FM streamer. So it kind of works both ways.
Perfect. And then I guess we'll move back to real football for a few quickfire questions before the big one. So for the quickfires, the best player you've played with and against in your career?
Okay, so with I was in quite a decent youth team. They've got Aaron Moyen.
Yeah.
Who's he's at Brighton now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, at the time he wasn't good enough for Bolton team because he wasn't physical enough. But technically he was incredible, and he's gone on to like do some very good things in his career.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I say about our youth like setup, I remember playing Man United away, and they had some talent in their team. They had like Pogba, Lingard, Danny Welbeck, Federico Macheda, if you remember him. Cameron Stewart, who played in the Championship, like Wes Brown's brother, Rhys Brown. That team was incredible. But yeah, Paul Pogba in the youth teams he's just way too good to be playing against like 18-year-old people from like Bolton Academy. Just way too good.
Not a bad name to be able to bring out, to be fair.
No, it's not. He's won the World Cup now, so
absolutely.
I'm celebrating that. I played against Paul Pogba.
And then what about moving on to managers? You've mentioned a few of them, obviously, that have been key in your career. Who would you say was maybe not the best, but the most influential one to you that you've played under?
I think I learned an incredible amount from Kiefer, like tactically.
Yeah.
An incredible amount. Darren Ferguson's very good tactically. But whereas other managers, like, say, for example, John Coleman, like the self-belief he gives you as a player, that is, like, incredible. But, yeah, tactically, I learned a lot from Kiefer, to be fair.
Fair enough. And then I guess we'll move on to the big question at the end, which we asked the name of the podcast, which is for your favourite football games. So as you're a professional, I'll let you have one as a player and one as a fan. What are your favourite football games ever and why?
My favourite football game as a professional is we played Stoke in the FA Cup 5th round for Rochdale, and I played like centre mid against like sort of like Nzonzi and people like that. I managed to score that game. We lost 4-1 because Bojan put one in the top corner.
I remember that.
A couple of other people. I was supposed to be marking Bojan when he put it in the top corner with his left foot. I remember thinking, yeah, Prem's a different level. But I was thinking, go on then, shoot. But I scored that game and I played really well. So that's probably the best game I've ever had in my life. I'll put that there. And then as a fan, I think, you know what? As like an England fan, maybe like is it the Colombia game where we won on penalties?
Yes.
I just think that summer was just incredible.
Yeah.
Just from an England perspective, but as a Man United fan, you can't really look past the treble winning season or the Champions League final, or you could put the FA Cup semi-final, the Ryan Giggs goal up there. But I'll probably say the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer goal in the Champions League final.
Not bad games to pick and a perfect way to end. I can't thank you enough for your time and sharing your football experiences with
It's
us.
been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. As you can see, there's a smile on my face because I'm talking about football.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than talking about football, and hopefully I'll be joining you again this afternoon for your live stream, and hopefully when people see this, they'll come and check you out. Thanks for your time.
Perfect. And hopefully they check you out as well. Thank you so much for your time, my friend.